Welcome to AmA Media. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Thank you and much love.
The Book of the Bee is one of the great encyclopedic spiritual texts of the Middle Ages, written around the 13th century by Bishop Solomon of Basra. From the very first pages, the author describes why he wrote this book: to gather honey from the flowers of all scripture, just as a bee gathers nectar from many blossoms and shapes it into something nourishing and sweet. It is a collection of sacred stories, mysteries, origins, and endings, stretching from the creation of the universe all the way to the final resurrection. The book is not only a timeline, it is a spiritual map, the beginning of all things. The Book of the Bee starts before time itself, reminding us that creation was not an afterthought. According to the text, everything that exists was conceived first in the eternal mind of God, long before it appeared. Nothing was random. Nothing was new to the Creator. It describes how 7 fundamental natures or substances, earth, water, air, fire, heaven, angels, and darkness, were created in silence, because there was no one yet to hear the voice of God. Then light appeared at the command, "Let there be light," and even the angels themselves realized at that moment that they were created beings, not self-existing gods. The heavens were stretched like a roof, the waters divided, the land shaped, the plants and trees brought forth. The moon and sun were formed from vessels of fire and light mixed together. Even the firmament, the great dome separating the waters above from the waters below, was crafted with intention and purpose. The angels and their ranks. One of the most detailed sections in the Book of the Bee is its description of the angels. It reveals 9 classes arranged in 3 ranks. At the top are the cherubim, seraphim, and thrones, fiery beings, full of eyes, guardians and carriers of divine mysteries. Beneath them are powers, lords, and rulers, governing forces of nature, victory, and cosmic order. The lowest rank houses principalities, archangels, and angels, those who guide nations, protect life, and walk with humanity. Every human being, the text says, has an angel assigned from conception to resurrection. The creation of Adam and Eve. When all the foundations were in place, God formed Adam, not by a simple word, but by his own hands. He shaped Adam from the 4 elements, dust from the earth, a drop of water from all waters, a breath of air from the atmosphere, and a spark of fire from the nature of flame. This was done so that all creation would be subject to humanity, not as domination, but as stewardship. Adam shone like crystal, the text says, clothed in glory. His eyes were bright like the sun. He was made king, priest, prophet, and guardian over all creatures. Eve was formed from Adam's left side, not to rule over him, nor to be ruled by him, but to stand beside him as equal and companion. She was made while he was half asleep and half awake, so he would not be shocked by her form nor think her foreign to him. Paradise was planted in the east, on the mountain of Eden, beyond the ocean, full of trees, rivers, sweet air, and everlasting light. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge stood at the center, not because of magical properties, but because of the spiritual consequences tied to them. The fall and the exile. The Book of the Bee goes into the fall with detail and symbolism. Satan, jealous of Adam's honor, entered the serpent and approached Eve with cunning. The serpent was chosen, the text says, because it was subtle and beautiful. Eve would not be afraid. When they ate the forbidden fruit, the fig according to this text, they immediately lost their robe of glory. They saw the world differently. Shame, fear, and division entered human consciousness. A cherub with a fiery sword was placed at the east gate of paradise to guard the way to the tree of life. Adam and Eve were clothed in garments of skin and expelled into the world we now inhabit. A cosmic history of humanity. From this point forward, the Book of the Bee becomes a grand record of sacred history, the generations from Adam to Noah, the flood, the Tower of Babel, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph in Egypt, Moses and the Exodus, the judges, kings, and prophets, the birth of Christ and the rise of the apostles. Each event is not just historical, it is symbolic, showing the divine plan unfolding in every age. There's even a prophecy from Zoroaster, included to show that knowledge of the coming Messiah was whispered far beyond Israel. The end of the world and the world to come. The final chapters turn from the past to the future. The book describes the end of kingdoms, the rising of Gog and Magog, the coming of the Antichrist, the torment of demons, the death of the body, and the journey of the soul. Finally, it speaks of the resurrection, when the righteous rise in a new form, the world is remade, and heaven becomes the dwelling place of humanity. Even the sinners, it wonders, may one day receive a measure of mercy, after judgment and cleansing, because divine compassion has no limit, though justice must first take its course. The Book of the Bee is like a spiritual timeline woven with myth, scripture, philosophy, and ancient insight. It shows a world where heaven and earth are not separate, but constantly interacting. A world where angels guide, nature speaks, and every human life fits into a cosmic story. A world where creation has purpose, and the end of time is not destruction but transformation. It reminds us, just like the bee, that wisdom is gathered drop by drop, from many flowers, across generations. And when we bring the pieces together, we create something sweet enough to nourish the soul.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope to see you soon. Till the next time, much love.